There will be 3 rounds. In the first round, the first speaker or leader of each team gives a speech presenting their arguments. The first speaker of the team proposition presents arguments in support of the resolution within 5 minutes. The first speaker of the team opposition presents arguments opposing the resolution within 5 minutes. And in the second round, there will be 4 turns of presenting. The second speaker on each team gives the counter arguments to the arguments of the opposing team, and at the same time presents further points in support of their resolution within 5 minutes as well. The third speaker on each team gives the counter arguments, of course, to the arguments of the opposing team, and at the same time presents their closing statements in support of their resolution within 5 minutes. Notice, everyone, that in the second round, POI will be available, therefore allowing the opposing team's members to briefly interrupt the current speaker, offering a POI in the form of a question or a statement. However, rules must be applied. First, POIs can only be raised after the 1 minute mark of a speaker. Second, no points will be raised in the last minute of the speech. Third, POIs can be either accepted or denied, but each speaker must accept at least 1 POI. And in the final round, the leader of each team will summarize their arguments and conclude their team's points for 3 minutes each. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay. And of course, we have the criteria for judging. We have coherence, 40%, solidity, 40%, substantiation, 15%, grammar, 5%, for a total of 100%. And in each round, of course, 10 points will be given to the team who provides excellent arguments, and no points will be given to the team who fails to defend their arguments, thus totaling to 30 points as the maximum score. And Miss Farah, our judge for tonight, will be giving 5-minute evaluation and will be announcing your scores right after each round. So is everything clear now? Okay, I guess that's a yes. So to officially start, here's the motion for tonight's debate. Gen Z suffers from more stress than other generations. Again, the motion for tonight's debate is Gen Z suffers from more stress than other generations. Okay, I wish you all good luck, guys. And so without further ado, Rose, the leader and the first speaker of the proposition team, timer's ready. You have 5 minutes to present your argument. You may begin.
Yes. So first one, I would like to define generation 0 on my own. So generation 0 is the first generation that is said to have grown up with access to internet. In other words, that is about digital and electronic devices from an early age. So they have more opportunities to access the technical development, also digital devices. So it definitely creates immensely significant advantages, but also it causes some very serious pressure on them. So I would like to give you 3 aspects that prove that they have to suffer more pressure from work, finance, and health-related concerns than previous generation. So first one, speaking of working aspect, in this day and age, the society tend to create immensely 1,000 of higher conditions to hire employees, which requires workers to accumulate and equip themselves a wide range of specialized knowledge, but also the hard and soft skills. So they are under pressure from enhancing their level of specialized work and also catching the latest techniques. So that's about work. The second one I would like to say is about money, I mean the financial ability. So making ends meet was the most common source of stress, affecting 81% of Generation Zero adults, according to a science test. So I think this is a very powerful number to prove that they were under their some pressure put on the shoulder of the generation. Yes. And the last one is about depression. Depression is more common in Generation Zero than any previous generation because they largely due to increased reliance on technology and reduced face-to-face interaction. So as a consequence, they have been beset by mental depression and also suicide more than the other generations at this age. So the first one that I would like to make this more clearly is that people nowadays tend to shy away from sharing or seeking professional consultation when it comes to personal problems, and they tend to hide their problems and suffer alone. The second what I would like to say is that Generation Zero is the generation most susceptible to peer pressure brought about by the boom of social networks. You can imagine how easy it is to look at the person of your age who is living in a fulfilled life and reflect upon your own dull life with a sigh. So I have shown you three aspects prove that Generation Zero suffer pressures and stress more than generations, especially the previous generations. That's about work, finance, and health-related concerns. And when it comes to health-related concern, I have figure out to expect that depression from the pair and family stress, and also relates to the way they earn money and also the way they have to build up themselves according to the development of society. So that's all ideas that I would like to support for the proportions of the arguments. So thanks for your listening, guys. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Rose. What a wonderful argument to start with. So, yeah, actually, you still have time, but that's fine. Just a few seconds left. And now, of course, we want to welcome the leader of the opposition team, Autumn.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Autumn, again, timer's ready, and it's your turn to please present your argument. You may begin.
After thorough discussion, our team would love to present two main ideas. Kanji and I are going to present the first, and Julie is going to deliver the rest. To not be 100% against the topic, we hold the view that every generation suffers from certain burdens, anxieties, and concerns. We strongly believe that it's unfair to compare the stresses among different generations because every age group was born in different eras, distinct conditions with regard to economy, society, and mindset. The approach to each problem differs profoundly. May Gen Zero tolerate the effect of pandemic, stress from peer pressure, and the negative content from the internet. The former people also witness not only wars, but also extreme experiences caused by dangerous diseases. When it comes to wars, armed conflict often leads to forced migration, long-term refugee problem, and the destruction of infrastructure. Social, political, and economic institutions can be permanently damaged. Now, we are living in a world where the occurrence of war is much less than it used to be a couple of decades ago, which is clearly for us a relief. Let's take the nation we are living in, Vietnam, as a vivid example. Our father had to witness the destruction of invasion from France in the US, war scarred the people involved in many ways. The effects include long-term physical and especially psychological harm to children and adults, as well as reduction in material and human capital. As a consequence, poverty and starvation follow us. Let's not forget the starvation occurred in Vietnam in 1945. The burden that they had to carry became much heavier when it comes to survival. At the time being, the scarcity of food, drinks, and even a shelter to live in stressed them to death. At that time being, sometimes the threat of being murdered, killed, and by the enemy was always there and barely faded. As a matter of fact, it took our country 2 more decades since the last war with China to finally step into the world economy in 2008 and start to modernize. So tell us, how could we weigh up the pros and the cons appropriately to declare that the stress that Gen Z have to confront now is more severe than others? And when it comes to the internet, we are living in an integrated world. The internet facilitates almost everything. Money is less than a restriction when it comes to entertainment, education, as well as job opportunities. Moreover, when the COVID-19 broke out, Gen Z is more likely to gain an edge over other generations due to the early exposure to the high technology. I can't deny that we, the people belonging to Gen Z, could adapt to the fast-growing world by joining a freelance labor force, get used to working from home real quick, and earn money at ease. However, the older can hardly catch up with us. Fair to say, it proves that people in different age groups bear certain pressure and anxiety. So that is for my opinion. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Autumn. You still have a minute, more than a minute. Do you want to add more? Do you have anything else to say?
Yeah. So as I have mentioned before, the with the facilitation of the internet, that money is less of a restriction, right? And so we are facilitated a lot. So how could we weigh up the pros and the cons appropriately to say that Gen Z is suffering more than other generations? So that is kind of unfair.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that, Autumn. So everyone, we already heard the arguments of both teams. We had the first speaker of the proposition and the second speaker of the opposition team. Now, I want you both to please listen to Ms. Farah. Hello, Ms. Farah. You can please give your comments and suggestions as well.
All right. So good job to both the first speakers of the government or the proposition and the opposition or the negative side. Awesome. So I think for the first speaker on the positive side, so she mentioned a few aspects about health, about pressure, about finance. It's really very lovely that she was able to create a lot of it, especially about financial ability, about she also defined Gen Z as the first generation to grow up with access of internet, and as well as, already have an amount of knowledge in terms of technical and digital devices and the advantages that these devices can bring about. However, she also mentioned something that can really prove as, it can be disadvantageous in terms of the aspects she mentioned about thousands of higher condition, financial ability, depression, and then she also mentioned about shying away professional consultation, susceptible from social network, and then health related concern like stress because they wanted to earn a lot of money, and then development of society. I think the definition was very good in terms of maybe the age range of Gen Z, just like what you mentioned, it's Gen Zero. So we all know there's an age, there's a certain age range of Gen Zero that we also need to cater to the arguments that we have tonight. So I think she was able to mention something relating to the age range of people who are already working, because as we all know, it's an age range from 6 years old to 24 years old. So I think she was able to point out some aspects pertaining to people who might be working at around, from 20 plus already, but she was not able to mention some, facts about kids, about Gen Zero who are aging from 6 years old and above before working, and those who are already still studying, right? So we need to point out those people who are still studying, and the kind of things that we have to put as an example. We were able to provide so. However, the substantiation was not really that solid. It wasn't, there wasn't really a lot for you to share in terms of the things that you want to maybe mention, okay, about the examples that you created earlier. I think you mentioned something about, depression, about social media, something like that, but not really too much in terms of, you just explained a little bit on the aspects that you gave. However, there weren't really much examples that we want to understand to dig deeper into the context of why you agree that Gen Z really suffers from more depression compared to other generations. So all in all, I think the substantiation part and solidity part was not really that much yet. Okay, so we need to work on that. Now, for the first speaker on the opposition or the negative side, very good main ideas. Also, she was able to say, okay, it was more of like the anxiety and depression of. I think she mentioned a lot about different generations. However, you were not able to mention specifically on what generation you really want to emphasize. If Gen Z is, the part that this person from the proposition proposes that they suffer more, depression, or that they have like more problems or challenges in life, then you have to counterpart that, or, you have to give another kind of maybe generation that might counterpart that Generation Z. Gen X probably, baby boomers probably, I don't know, it depends on your team, but you were not able to mention specifically what that generation is. Instead, you were able to explain, which was very good. I think you mentioned more about especially our aunts, our uncles, our grandmothers, our fathers, who experienced a lot and saw a lot, like the war that happened before. Okay, that was very good. I think, maybe you mentioned that, but in terms of the effect of, witnessing all those and what they're currently doing right now, because those happened a long time ago. What about now? So what are they feeling right now? What are the challenges they have right now? We were not able to really, focus on that, or we were not able to bring something like that, but it was good because you tried to utilize your time. However, Miss Emmy still, informed you about it instead of you being able to bring more, to the table. You were able to bring a lot, but not really that much for people to be really full enough for the arguments that you're trying to give us tonight. Okay, but still very good. So I would give my 10 points to the team that was able to provide more examples. Okay, that was able to provide more maybe substantiation in terms of the first round. So I'm going to give it first now to the opposition. The reason for that is there weren't really much examples in the first speaker on the government side. There were more examples here, but then we need to work on what generation you are really vying for. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Farah. And yeah, we had the result for the first round. So just one more call. I want to ask if Noda and Sylvania are here. Hello, Noda. Hello, Sylvania. Okay, that's it. So actually, the B2 administration and the B2 management just contacted me. And for Team 1, Team 2, the group of Rose and the group of Autumn, I'm so sorry for the inconvenience, but we will end here for tonight. Okay, we will not be able to continue because it will be so difficult to the part of Rose as well. So I hope you guys could understand, and yeah, don't worry, there are still a lot of debates coming. Okay.
I just want to ask a question. So does this affect the results of our team compared to the following team?
What do you mean by that?
So compared to the other team, like Team 3, Team 4, Team 5, or following teams like that. So does it affect the results of our team when?
You mean like the whole result, right?
Yeah, the whole community, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
I think no. Let me see. Let me check later. Okay, and I will just ask the B2 admin, the B2 management to contact you guys. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. So I'm so sorry, but I hope you understand. Sorry for the
It's
inconvenience.
thanks for your very constructive comment and also feedback about my speaking performance. And that's a very big pity for me and also all of you that my teammates were didn't hear. But I'm so happy to join this debate competition and meet all of you. So thank you so much and good luck to you. Thank you.
Sure. And
All right.
I also want to say that again, we are sorry on behalf of this, just like what Miss Emmy mentioned earlier. I think maybe as an advice or suggestion, maybe we can, if there is a time, maybe we can reschedule it.
That's
To
right.
the most, to the most convenient day
Convenient time.
and schedule, because I think it would really be unfair for you, Rose. But still, I think you really need like a team. You really need two more
That's right.
people to join you. So yeah.
Okay, but
Yes,
as
thank
of
you.
this night, obviously it's the opposition team who got the point. So as of tonight, I will be declaring opposition team as the winner. Okay.
Yes, thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Don't worry. We will take consideration of your, of your
It
like.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I just feel a little bit disappointed of my teammates, and I also feel we're so much irresponsible for that, and I caused some problem to the opposite team.
That's
But it
it's
doesn't
okay.
matter to me. So yeah, thank you. So I have to leave now. So
Yes, thank you, Rose, and
Thank
thank you,
you.
Autumn, and thank you also, Kanji and Julie for being here.
Thank
Okay.
you, Ms. Farah
Yes.
and Amy. And thank you, Rose.
Yes.
Too. Good luck to you.
See you. Mhm. Okay. So, hello everyone. I'm still here, of course, and I want to ask if Team 3 and Team 4 are here. So let me call your names. Let's have the proposition team first. We have Belle, the leader. Hello, Belle. Are you here?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, that's great. So welcome. Thank you for participating tonight, Belle. And of course, we have the second speaker from the proposition team. We have Dane.
Yes, I'm here. I'm Dane.
Okay, Dane, hi. And we have Anna, the third speaker from the proposition team.
Sorry, the first speaker, my team. And
No,
can
no,
I
no.
start it? Yeah.
I'm sorry. First speaker of my team will joining. Please waiting for a lot of seconds. Please come in.
Sure. Oh, so Tui, are you Belle or are you Anna?
I'm Belle.
Okay. So you are the leader, right? You're the first speaker.
Oh yes.
And we have Dane and Anna. Okay, that's fine. We will wait for Anna a little bit because I will still call the opposition team. All right. So for the first speaker, the leader of the opposition team, Team 4, is Nolan. Nolan here.
Hi.
Oh, there, Nolan. Yeah, you have your name.
Hi.
Okay, hi. Okay.
Hi.
And we have Mina, the second speaker. Hello, Mina. Are you there? Okay, I think the second speaker of the opposition team is still not here. And what about the third speaker of the opposition team?
Oh my God.
Hello, Jason?
Yes, Jason here.
Oh, there are two Jason. Oh, it's still you. Okay. Hi. All right. So welcome. And let me ask one more time. Mina. Hello, Mina. Are you here?
Yes, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you well. Okay. So Nolan, Mina, and Jason, the three of you are actually here. And we are just waiting for Anna, but that's fine because Anna, of course, will be the third speaker. So, everyone, are you ready?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so I heard that you already know the rules and the regulations, right? The mechanics, correct? Okay.
And by
Yes.
the way, Anna here.
Anna, hi, Anna.
Hey.
Okay, I can see you now. Hi. All right, so let's welcome Anna as well. Okay, so guys, as you know, we have our judge for tonight, the same judge as of earlier. I think you heard her and you saw her face already. So once again, we have Miss Farah May Pastor as your judge for tonight. So everyone, can you clap your hands for her again? Give her a round of applause, please. Okay. All right. Someone here looks familiar. Okay. All right. So now let's start. Of course, we have the first speaker and the leader of proposition team. Hello, Belle.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes. So let me just read and repeat. Okay. The motion for tonight's debate is Gen Z suffers from more stress than other generations. Again, Gen Z suffers from more stress than other generations. Okay, Belle, timer's ready.
Oh yes.
You have 5 minutes to present your arguments, and you may begin.
Hello everyone. Our team is team 3, and we are fantastic. And now we are like start to project our idea about Gen Z suffer more stress than other generations. So first, I will give you some information about the social background as well as the future of Gen Z and other generation. Gen Z who were born from 1997 to now, so they are not yet fully developed psychologically, as well as they feel vulnerable, as well as they are very like fragile emotional. Yeah, and other generation, it means that they have a lot of experience in life, so they can easily handle the hard situation like pandemic, as well as they have a mature mindset, mature thinking, so it's very hard them to handle the situation. And I have a fact to share with you is that according to America Psychological Association 2020 survey said that about the level of stress of other generation, Gen X 5.2, millennial 5.6, and Gen Z. Can you guess that? 6.1. So it's very clear that Gen Z suffer more stress than other generation, right? So what is the reason? Why? Our team have 3 main reasons and are presented responsibly our 3 team members. So first is that Gen Z experience their adulthood, while the future look uncertain. Second, Gen Z and the gap generation. Third is Gen Z and are easily affected by the social value. So I will take the first point. Gen Z experience the adulthood when the future look uncertain. I will analyze it in three aspects. The first aspect is that psychology. Gen Z, they are not yet fully developed in psychologically, so that they feel vulnerable, they feel hard to handle the situation. They don't have any experience to handle with situation like pandemic. While the other generation, they have experience, they have mature mindset, mature thinking, so it's very easy for them to cope with this situation. The second is that the pandemic affect Gen Z for a long time negatively. Yeah, I mean that because now 7 in 10 Gen Z surveyed said that they are like feel stressed, they feel lonely, they feel isolated because they work, they study online, so they lack of social skill, and this mental health will affect them for the rest of their life, not short time. While other generation, the hardest thing they might face with is financial issue, right? Because the pandemic happened, they lose their job, so that they must handle the financial situation, they handle problem. But when the pandemic is over, this problem will be gone. They can have a job again, they can earn money again, because they have a experience in the past, so they can have a new job in the future. Yeah, so that Gen Z suffer more stress and it's a very long time. So the first basic is that Gen Z is now in a really intense situation, in a really difficult state in life. I mean that they are like laboring at the market. They are looking for a new job. They are entering university. You know that is very difficult. And now the pandemic happened and everything changed, so that they cannot plan for the future. No one can help them out of that situation. But the other generation, like millennial or Gen X, they have a stable life, and they just have a small struggle with pandemic, and they are not in that hard situation. It's just a normal state in life, so that's easier for them to handle situation rather than Gen Z, because they stress a lot. So that all of my point to protect the first aspect of my team is that Gen Z is suffering more stress than other generation because they are experiencing the adulthood while the future look uncertain. And thank you very much for listening, my team. And waiting until round 2 and round 3, we are protect more two more reasons. Yeah, thank you very much for your listening.
Wow. Okay. So thank you so much for that, Belle. Okay. So it's, I think, like a very exciting start for Team 3 and Team 4. And especially that everyone's here. So for sure, we will be able to finish the debate. Okay. Now, thank you for that, Belle. And now, of course, let's welcome Nolan, the first speaker and the leader of the opposition team. Hello, Nolan. Yes.
Hello.
I can see you're in the galaxy.
Hi.
Okay, so Nolan, timer's ready, and please present your argument. You may begin.
Okay. So now we ask today's opposition. We strongly believe that this is not true. Okay, so we will come to our actual argumentation. Okay, let me come to my first argument. Gen Zers have been replacing other generations in the labor market, and this youngest generation is growing up, graduating high school and college, and steadily entering the workforce. And with approximately 10,000 baby boomers reaching retirement age every day and current employees moving into those gaps, Gen Z can step into effectively fill any roles that become available, which means that many people in older generations tend to get discharged from their work soon. Another reason is that Generation Z are ones who have been exposed to technology since they were born, which also means that there will be a flood of technology-savvy talent entering the workforce, while older generations may find it hard to keep up with. Two of these reasons may put older generations workers in a dilemma and eventually stress when they start to find it hard to compete with a lot of much younger workers. For example, according to statistics, by mid-2018, there were 61 million members of Generation Z poised to flood into the United States workforce. And the oldest of Gen Z are about 23, currently asserting themselves in the workplace. So that would lead some situational causes of stress in older adults, include retirement, financial concerns about the future, caretaking demands for a spouse or family members, or moving to a new residence. Okay, so that's the end of my first argument. Then let's move on to my second argument. Okay, so when it comes to stress or mental health problems, Gen Z is more resilient and open than previous generations. Okay, so first, thanks to the proliferation of specialist mental health services and programs, especially for young people, which includes elaborate clinical assessment and treatment. Youngsters who may have some troubles in their mental health can go see the doctors and experts and get diagnosed and cured easily and confidently today. Second, a lot of pioneering and pre-programmed systems dedicated to young people's mental health have been established. and implement it consistently, which really helps other people learn how to recognize, detect, or approach or deal with people who are affected by many mental health problems, including stress. And for example, in Europe, Gen Z is also the most it's likely the generation to get help when they have mental health issues. From going to therapy to getting medicated, they are the most likely generation to seek that help. With mental health illness, help being more widely talked about or supported and encouraged. Lots of mental health professions on TikTok, also with many contents dedicated to Gen Z audience, have shown that we can normalize talking about mental health concerns, and that free advice can still be very helpful, and that somehow make the Gen Z generation feel more resilient and open to when they want to talk about the mental health issues, especially stress. And let me move on to my third argument, right? Okay, so Gen Z people have better quality of life than ones who are from older generations, especially Gen X or Gen Y. Okay, this can be attributed to the steep development in many fields, especially entertainment nowadays. Sometimes entertainment serve as excellent relaxation tools, like for young people who suffer from high levels of stress. These convenient sources of entertainment allow people to distress whenever they want without having any impact on their productivity at school or at work. For example, some specific genres of movies, such as like comedy, or a lot of movies nowadays like blockbusters, which can make people laugh and become elated easily. And also we can have a lot of like social media, like networking sites like TikTok or YouTube or Facebook, which can help young people relaxed and like feel better when they want to find something to blow up some steam when they deal with a lot of stress at school or at work, at the workplace. Yeah,
Okay.
So that's the end of my.
So, yes, thank you. Wow, it's a buzzer beater. All right. So, thank you for that, Nolan, for giving your argument opposing to the resolution for tonight. All right. So, great start, everyone. Well done, guys. Now, let's hear it from Miss Farah, our judge for tonight. Miss Farah, you may give your evaluation and the scores.
All right. Okay. Very good. So again, congratulations to the both teams, the first speaker of the government or the proposition and the first speaker of the opposition or the negative side. So again, this is a clash between Gen Z and other generations that can be provided, by other people on the opposition team. So of course, for the first part, Gen Z being the most stressed, or the people who actually have like more pressure in life. And I think they were able to, I think the first person was able to say that she's going to dig deeper into the first reason. They have, I think, 2 or 3 reasons, and then other people will actually substantiate further on the other reasons. So I think she really focused more on, the future is uncertain. Nobody knows the future. Okay, that's good. We all know that. And then, of course, psychologically vulnerable. And then, of course, I think the focus was more on like, they're usually feeling lonely and stressed, and I think this is good in terms of maybe providing the emotional and psychological aspect and the mental health of the people in the Gen Z, this kind of generation. And I think I think you were able to really substantiate it further by giving examples as to what happens whenever Gen Z can actually, have all these pressure around them. So that's very good. I think we have to really make sure also that we give like examples as to what could be the effect if ever Gen Z could probably have this, like maybe, for example, if this generation could have a lot of them on their plate and they're working, they're studying. So at the end of the day, like what happens when they're too stressed? Okay. We weren't able to also, have that kind of maybe, explanation on that part, but still very good because you actually provided something about intense situation that they can't handle because they're too young and they don't have much experiences compared to older people or compared to other generations, which would actually allow them to probably not really handle any situation at all. So that's very good. And then also in terms of the first speaker on the opposition, by the way, for the first speaker on the proposition, I think you said, thank you for listening, my team. It's specifically will be saying, thank you for listening to my team. But all in all, that was very good. You have very good pronunciation, very good comprehension. And then, all right, for the opposition. So I like the part when he mentioned something about there are other generations out there that can actually, even if they are stressed, because other generations can be really stressed compared to Gen Z. But Gen Z, they have all the time in the world to look at their mobile phones, look at their technology. They will be entertained like blockbusters or movies compared with other, generations. Like what I think he was able to mention something like Gen X and Gen Y, which is really good. So I think with them, they're not too. I think you mentioned that they're not really able to maybe not really that knowledgeable about technology, and thus they're not able to really give themselves a lot of ways to relax. And maybe we can have something in terms of this, because you have other arguments here like the quality of life, de-stressing, and then you have your Gen Z are more resilient and more open compared to Gen X and Gen Y. That's good. And then you have your workforce, current employees, technology. All right. So I think you mentioned something about like mid 2018. Okay, so most of the people would go to the United States, all right? So I think this is good because you focus more on like what other people, older people can do, that they can do something, however they cannot do what Gen Z can do, and they're really open, they're open-minded. I like that when you said that. And I think what you lack here is probably like what make them so stressful about the situation that they are into right now. When we talk about Gen X and Gen Y, what make them so stressful and pressured? Is it about work? Is it about family? Is it about the pressure, brought about the changes around the world, like the pandemic? Is that it? Because we're focusing more on the comparison. Okay, otherwise, I'm sorry about my camera. So that's it. But so far, congratulations to the both of you. I think I'm going to give it more to based on our, based on our maybe grading methods. I'm going to base it more with the proposition team. I'm going to give them the 10 points. Why? Because they also they have given a lot of statistics earlier. They also gave like contemporary examples. For the proposition, I think the focus was more on the comparison of two generations, but we also need to focus more on the generation of X and Y as to why they are more pressured and more stressful compared to Gen Z. Not only, between the comparison, but also more on, bring me to the fact or to the point as to why they're more stressful compared to Gen Z. So that's it. I think we only focus on one thing, which is about resiliency and being open. But all in all, again, congratulations and good job to the first round.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Farah. And yeah, it has been decided. So you've already heard the result. And as of this moment, the team proposition has 10 points. Okay, so of course, let's not waste our time anymore and let's go directly to the second round. Now, may I call in Dane? Hello, Dane.
Okay, I'm here.
All right. Hi, Dane. So you will be the second speaker for proposition team, and it's your turn to please give your counter arguments. Timers ready?
Yes, right.
You may begin.
Okay. Hi, guys. On behalf of my team, I would like to say that I find quite difficult to concur with Nolan's second idea because in our society, in Vietnamese society, there are still many shortcomings related to mental health services, and these services or organizations seem to be a rather strange concept to most people. Vietnamese, So it can be honest to say that Vietnamese people in general and the Vietnamese youth in particular find quite hard to access these services and organizations. Okay, and I would like to state my second point of view related to generation gap in the pressure Gen Z have to suffer from that. Generation gap is a family. In a family is one of the underlying causes of conflict, disagreements, loneliness, or lack of mutual understanding between parents and their children. However, for Gen Z, Their barrier to their parents is doubled because the characteristics of this generation are formed in association with the digital age. This partly causes invisible pressure for this generation. Specifically, first, are you a kinder person whenever waking up, immediately checking your phone? Or when you're lying in bed about to fall asleep, you have to serve a little more? That lifestyle is probably not strange to many young Generation Z. Life is often associated with electronic devices like phones, laptops, computers, you name it. Not to mention dynamic supporting accessories like smartwatches, wireless headphones, or earphones. However, that lifestyle is quite different in our parents' eye from the previous generation. Maybe I guess many times you have already been complaining about wasting too much time on electronic devices, harming your eyes, causing serious brain damage, and countless other reasons.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yes.
So you said that between parents and children, between parents and Gen Z, they have a distance. So if you say that Gen Z also suffers stress from it, but do you think that parents also suffer stress from this conflict too?
Okay. Thank you for your question. I would say that Gen Z is not mature enough to adapt with this conflict as their parents. Their parents have a lot of experience in solving the problems related to family relations, like between the husband and wife, the husband with the other children. Okay, so they have much more experience with dealing with this problem. Okay. All right. All right.
Yep.
I would like to continue my. Yes.
Yes,
I would
can
like to
I ask
continue
one more
my.
question?
Yes, right.
Okay, so as you said that parents have more experience, but they also have to face with so many other difficulties in life. So maybe parents have more
I'm
stress.
sorry, but you cannot already ask a POI at the last minute. Please continue, speaker.
Yes, right. Thank you. Okay. I would like to ask about the effect of electronic devices. If your parents are not often exposed to advanced technology and still hold many prejudices against them, they are likely to equate the use of phone and laptops with playing games and gossiping, with a lost cause and time consuming. This will gradually make Gen Z feel like they are criminals, feeling guilty whenever they use electronic devices, leading to avoiding meeting their parents in person to comfortably use their phones without being scolded. That's why the gap between family members is getting bigger. When it comes to the gap between children and their parents, connection methods in the technology age are also considered main culprits. The superiority of technology makes it easier for people to video call, chat, or send emails. At the same time, it attracts many features so that they can share their feelings, express their interests, and personal egos. That means their time for traditional exchanges with their parents is decreasing because young people are spending more time in other appealing interaction on the internet. Parents and children do not connect much with each other, starting with less sharing about daily experience. In the long term, no longer talking often beyond the mandatory communication sentences to sustain life. So, when encountering contemporary issues like LGBT loves or personal attacks on social media, many parents do not know how to properly deal with their children. For example, when they find that their children are falling in love with
Okay,
someone of the same sex.
I'm so sorry,
Okay.
Dane, but I have to cut you there. I'm so sorry. So yeah, thank you
No
so
problem.
much thank you so much for your counter argument and also for answering POI. Now this time, Mina, right?
Yes.
Okay, Mina, it's your turn. As for the opposition team, you can please give your counter argument. Timer's ready. You may begin.
Yes. So as the first at the first argument that your team said, you said that Gen Z has a lot of psychological problems in becoming an adult in the future. However, in addition to the arguments that our team has mentioned, I'd like to add more reasons why we are convinced that Gen Z is not under as much stress as other generations. First, during the COVID-19 pandemic, while Gen Z, with their sensitivity to technology, has more tools to entertain and communicate, Gen X and Gen Y have difficulties in relieving sadness. During the period when people are forced to stay at home, they cannot go to work to earn money or shop or date. Gen Z can still work online, chat with friends, play games very easily because they are used to using technology in daily life. But for the previous generations, especially the elderly, being isolated was like being in prison. Some people cannot work online, resulting in a loss of income. Limited forms of entertainment and waiting for them every day on TV are the constantly increasing numbers of new infections and deaths. For instance, the security guard near my house, because he couldn't find any jobs during this period, he became bored, drank more, even became irritable, and wanted to commit suicide. So the pressures that previous generations had to go through do not stop there. The second point I make below will be even more terrifying. Typically, almost all Gen Zers are living in a peaceful time, not having to experience the cruelty of wars. So they cannot have as many worries as previous generations. Specifically from Gen Y back to previous generations, wars occurred constantly. Having a peaceful life was a luxury dream. It can be said that the worries of our grandparents and parents in the past were many times higher than Gen Z's, because while Gen Z is pressured with only a few critical comments on social media, Gen Y and Gen X face the fear of being taken away by war. For example, a soldier's wife who grew up in Bầu Trai, Southeast Vietnam shared, "There were nights of sailing. I was so scared. One hand hugged my child, the other held my husband's hand. But after the sailing, he had to hastily..."
Point.
Yes.
I think that we cannot compare the stress of the war or something like that with the critical common now with Gen Z. Everything is not the same measure, the same method to measure. I mean that the comment in the social media is something that kill a person, can cause to someone to suicide because of that. So it's much more serious. It's not just something simple. No. And so the second thing I want to share with you is that you said that the older generation can they are not good at technology, so they feel lonely, they feel hard to adopt. But nowadays, we can we know that other generation, they just want
Time's up for the point. Continue, speaker.
Yes, so I will answer your first questions. In our topic, we do not say that we cannot mention about the war, because also by the war, other generations like Gen X and Gen Y also suffer from stress, and even so bad stress. So I think I will continue with my argument. So come back to our example for my second point. So there were a soldier's wife who grew up in Bầu Trai, South Vietnam, shared that there were nights of sailing. I was so scared. One hand held my child, the other held my husband's hand. But after the sailing, he had to hastily bid farewell to his mother and me to go through the side door of the house to the basement of the operations center in order to facilitate command and support of the local garrisons. Although I feel very worried to support him, I can only hold my sadness inside and pray. Yeah, so to reiterate our group's objections, I would like to make a third argument in my presentation, which is Gen Z also enjoys natural resources and the environment has not been severely damaged. However, in the future, through the process of industrialization, Generation Alpha and the next generations will have to bear serious consequences from the environment. Although today the situation of environmental pollution and the overexploitation of natural resources cause many impacts on health, quality of life of the Gen Z. However, it is the Alpha Gen and the generations that come after that are the ones who suffer the most severe consequences. This in turn puts great pressures.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Mina, right? Mina. Okay. Thank you so much for your counter argument. And now, let's go to the proposition team. Hello, Anna.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hello, Anna.
I'm here.
All right, great. All right. So, Anna, it's your turn. Timer is ready. Please present your counter argument. You may begin.
Okay. So I start my speech now. So I came here divide my part into two parts. First, I will make some arguments, 3 arguments actually. Second is to provide my statement with my team. So there are 3 main arguments that I want to say. First, it's about entertainment between the 2 words. Actually, Gen Y and Gen X that your team are mentioned is not just because they are not getting used to the technology or smartphones, but they have their own entertainment. They don't need to go to the smartphones. They also can read books, do exercises, go to cafe, or even like talk with their family, their friends through phones. The basic things that they can do that are suitable with their word, not trying to get to the technology or anything that advances. They don't have to play games online because they are Gen Y and Gen X. So they are doing something that are suitable to them, not just to do the entertainment that fits with the Gen Z. So I think that is not related to this topic today. Secondly, is about the stress between 2 countries that have to face us with. Okay, I want to talk about the mental health of the Gen Z. Why? Because they are transforming from a boy to a girl, from a boy and a girl to a woman and a man. So they are very vulnerable to something that can affect them or changes from the world. So they are hard to find a doctor because they don't.
Sorry, interrupt. POI, please.
Okay.
So you said that Gen X and Gen Y before do not have to necessarily depend on game online or smartphone, but they have another sort of entertainment. But how do you explain that the addiction to game online of Gen X and Gen Y exceeds the one of Gen Z?
Okay, that's why I want to talk here. Why? Because Gen Z, they are very easily affected to the game online because they cannot change. They are not realizing they are addicted. So it's hard for them to meet the doctors or to have a meeting with a doctor because they don't even realize what they are getting trouble with. Why? Because I'm gonna just make some of my arguments here. Some of my statements here. So first is about the social media. I would like to take an example of an idol K-pop named Sully. She is a girl. She is just only a girl, a little girl who have to fight against the social media, the huge social media. However, she died because of the comments. So that's why she is a signature example for Gen Z because they are really easily affected by others. So they are vulnerable to things like the boom shootings, increasing sexual harassment reports coming from around them, and many of them have to deal with harassment and abuse themselves. Political discussions surrounding immigrations and taxes that could have direct impact on their future. So the list goes on and goes on. However, if I have to mention Gen X and Gen Y, they can easily deal with because they know what is related to them and what is not. So they can prevent those negative feelings. However, Gen Z, when hearing this, they feel that the future is so uncertain. And also, if they are addicted to the social media too much with negative comments and negative news, they maybe even more have eye problems. So it gets them stressed. And other thing that I want to mention is the conflicts between family. No, please.
Sorry.
conflicts between family and the members. Why? Because Gen X and Gen Y consider them social media cannot bring any benefits to them, to their children or to Gen Z. So the harm with using, so they think that the prejudice here is the harm with using media comes from a lack of education and copy mechanism on compacting these threats, because these harmful effects are only starting to surface recently. So based on the literature, young people do not have the capacity to manage social media impact on their own, because they are very vulnerable to the changes, the words changing. So as the result, I think that Gen Z are become more stressed than other generations, as I have heard. Thank you for listening.
Wow, that was so intense. All right. So thank you, Anna. And now Jason. Hello, Jason from the opposition team.
Yes, Jason here.
Okay. Yes. Hi,
Can I continue?
Jason. All right. So okay.
To begin with,
Okay, you may begin.
thank you. So my name is Jason, and I'm gonna continue with. So you said that I would like to give a counter argument to your team. So you said that Gen X and Gen Y can deal with stress more like effectively than Gen Zers later because they have fully developed like psychology. But I don't believe so, because according to the recent survey on South Korea, the proportion of teens that committing suicide is much more than the Gen Zers. So how do you explain about that? So to continue with our first argument, I want to solidify my first argument is that we believe that saying that Gen Z suffers from more stress than other generations is incompatible, because like technological advances paved the way for Gen Z to benefit in many aspects, and one of them is tackling stress. For examples, they can like count on e-psychologists or psychiatrists online, some kind of mobile apps. But how about Gen X, the very first predecessors? They suppose that the demand for alleviating stress is unnecessarily expensive, and they try to like live in harmony with stress, which subsequently results in their more worsening mental illness. So we can figure out that Gen Zers deal with stress more easily than their predecessor. My second argument is that Gen Z feel less stressed than the predecessors financially due to the reason that they tend to be wisely price conscious with every single financial decision they're about to make. So first, Generation Z is more invested in using the technology to check out the best economic options, from searching out the best prices for products before purchasing any items than previous generations before. And second, Gen Z is endeavoring to avoid the economic traps called student loan debt, in which millennials and Gen X become stuck. In doing that, Gen Zers are shifting views about the need for higher education. They tend to determine whether the need for higher education is actually appropriate to them or not. And according to the recent survey of more than 3,000 Americans conducted online in May 2017, student loan debt is a source of very significant stress, and many millennials and Gen X said that the numerous student loan debts have impacted their ability to go on vacation, pay for daily necessities like food and clothing. So they tend to like suffer more from stress and headaches as well as fatigue. So Gen Zers not suffer more stress than the predecessor. My third argument is that individualism helped Gen Z alleviate stress and live a more independent life than their predecessor, because they live an individualistic life and turn the deaf air to like discouraging nuisance from a number of negative external influences from other people. For instance, in Seoul, almost Korean people are adopting a new lifestyle called YOLO, which means you only live your life once and you should not live for others. That's why almost all youngsters tend to like opting out of or delay parenting, as they know that there will be a lot of burden and pressure ranging from like childbearing or child rearing or family budgets, and they tend to like invest more in their personal interests and recreation activities, facilities, traveling abroad, spending spree, or as a token of enjoying their quality of life. So those above mentioned counter arguments reiterate our point that Gen Z suffer less stress than others. Thank you.
Hello, Jason.
Yes.
You actually still have time, 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So I would like to supplement my point. My counter argument is that technological advances paved the way for Gen Z to benefit in many aspects, like tackling stress, learning, because the internet, social media platforms like YouTube or Facebook or LMS learning management system have facilitated Gen Z's learning. And they have access to a wider range of sources of knowledge, tailor-made online courses, and find the learning process much more easier than their predecessors, who have to rely on costly paper-based reference book, on-class teachers in terms of academic attainments. For example, a student can't Mary Livers in McAllister College in St. Paul, Minnesota State said she thinks technology has been a really good tool for doing research and having us all sorts of information at her fingertips and has helped her more productive in her learning in some ways. That's how Gen Z is less stressed than the predecessors in learning. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So thank you for that, Jason. And yes. All right. So I did not hear any POI during your speech, Jason. So thank you. Thank you very much. Second and third speakers of both team, Belle, Dane, Dane, Anna, Mina, and Jason. Now let's hear it from our judge, Miss Farah. You may give your evaluation.
All right. Okay. So congratulations to the both teams. Okay, for the second speakers of both sides and for the third speakers of both sides. All right. So speaking of, let's start with the second speaker of the proposition or the government team. So far she was also able to give very good counter arguments here, but I think she was only able to give one counter argument in terms of I think it was about the mental health institutions that she actually did mention earlier. And then also aside from that, so we have here, all right, associated, I think she mentioned some arguments about more Gen Zs are actually associated with more technologies nowadays, like laptops. We have other digital technologies. And then there was a POI raised earlier about that parents suffer more stress. And then I think she was able to point that out that Gen Z are still more stressed compared to parents nowadays, because parents are mature enough compared to children. That's very good. And then parents have a lot of experiences dealing with their problems, right? And then I think a part here is that the connection method, okay, they share their feelings based on technology like video calling, all right, personal ego. Okay, parents do not connect much. This is what I like. Parents do not connect much. That is why children are more stressful, because I think parents also have their whereabouts. So they have a lot of things to do compared to really connecting much to their children. However, I think in this here, I think we weren't able to substantiate it further because, not all parents are like this. There are still parents who really, amidst their busy schedule, they still find time for their children. And I think the second team or the second speaker of the opposition would have probably worked on arguing or maybe counter-arguing that part. So that's still very good. I think you only had one rebuttal or one counter-argument for the other team, because there are a lot that you should have counter-argued in terms of the things that were mentioned by the first speaker on the opposition side earlier, which are, of course, for example, for example, I think he only mentioned the second part of what he said about mental health, but other things about, like the quality of life or whatnot, and then how they can make yourself feel stressful when you're a Gen Z compared to other people who are part of the Gen X or Gen Y, but still very good. And then for the second speaker, I think she was able to say a lot. And I think here there was also a POI earlier about, I think you were not able to actually answer that POI, I'm afraid, because I did say that continue speaker, and then you were able to continue, but you continued on with your argument. You were not able to answer the POI raised by the first speaker of the government side or the proposition team when she said that, what about other people? They can actually just, For example, Gen X and Gen Y, they can just read books. They can just, go to the casino. They also have a lot of ways to be distressed, even if they're so stressed. Gen X, yeah, it's true that they can actually use online, digital references for them to be entertained at the same time. But there are also ways for other people, older people, to be entertained. And I guess we can answer that by saying, well, if ever these are, for example, if these people can de-stress, we have to really know that these people are not completely de-stressed the moment they don't talk to another person. So unlike like younger people, Gen Zs, they can just just watch movies, just like what the other person mentioned in the government side. They can just watch movies. But these people, older people, especially our aunts, uncles, mothers, or fathers, they need someone they trust, they can rely on to talk to. They don't just entertain themselves by these things. It's true they can be entertained, but not completely, unless they really express themselves towards other people whom they can really trust or rely on. And I think we were not able to point that out. And still good, because you actually mentioned about most of the elderly nowadays are isolated. They don't know how to, use most of these gadgets. They don't have any idea about this. And then we have, to commit suicide. All right. There are a lot of examples that you pointed out, especially for Gen Y, that they want a peaceful life. A couple of years back, a decade ago, or more than a decade ago, they were able to really witness a lot of killings, especially during the war. But what about now? What is it for these, old people? What are they doing now, especially the Gen X and Gen Y? What can these experiences do at that point right now that they're old, that can really make them feel very stressed? Is it trauma? We were not able to mention anything about trauma. What can trauma do? And how can it affect the level of stress in a person? I think we were not able to point that out very well. So that's still very good. However, there was one thing that I was really confused about the last part. Natural resources can become a consequence because Gen Z can rely on natural resources, and therefore we have a lot of pollution. I think it's irrelevant knowing that, all generations can be affected with that. We live in one world, one earth. Unless, of course, if there are other planets we can live on, and then we will not be affected with other, pollution around us, then that's it. But, of course, all of the generations can be affected with that fact, all right? Not only Gen Zs, okay? Because we breathe one air, all right? We eat one kind of food at the end of the day. All right, so with that, I would have given you the 10 points, but I was a little bit confused at the last part, so that's why I'm able to give, though she only was able to give one rebuttal, however, she mentioned a lot of things, arguments that made it a way for her to rebut the points of the other speaker, so that's why I'm able to give my 10 points to the second speaker of the government or the proposition side, okay? But still, good job, second speaker of the opposition or the negative side. Very well. And then let's go to the third speaker here, all right? So for the third speaker of the government or the proposition team, so entertainment, technology, still technology, all right. And then suitable, all right, set of technology related to, okay. And then I like the part when she said that, of course, for a girl, they're struggling, from a girl perspective on how they become an adult, from a girl to a woman and being a boy to become a man. And then there was a POI because she said that, well, there are ways for this people to, for Gen Zs, they actually have a lot of ways for them. Again, as what she mentioned about being stressed, and they usually rely online on gadgets. And then there was a POI that I think she also said that there are, I think it's about being addicted online, and then they can still consult a doctor. I think that was a POI. And then she said that, well, you can. I think because of the addiction, they can no longer prevent themselves from, from doing whatever they want with these gadgets, and therefore they find it difficult to go to a doctor or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. So she also mentioned a lot of examples, substantiation, like the girl named Suli in Korea, who's just a girl. And then I think we always, focus on future is uncertain. Again, all these generations can really be affected with that phrase, future is uncertain, because all of us do not know the future. It's uncertain for all of us. Therefore, whatever, come what may, whatever kinds of things that will happen with us today, tomorrow, or the next, few years or a few weeks or months, we will be affected with this because we don't know the future. And therefore, we have problems, even if we foresee them as mature, as adults, as Gen X or Gen Y or Gen Z. Even how much we, foresee the future or forecast the future, we cannot still prevent problems from coming, or, stress from coming, or pressure from coming. So that's actually that's good, but not really that solid enough to bring us an argument. And then have eye problems. Okay, very good. Prejudice. Okay, young people to manage social media content are become okay. You mentioned are become more stressed. It's best to say are becoming more stressed. And then third speaker. Okay, from the opposition or the negative side. All right. So this is very good because I think there was no POI for this. That's really good. There wasn't any POI raised while the third speaker was talking. I think there were a lot of words that you mentioned. Some of these words were not very clear for me to understand. Same with the third speaker on the other team on the proposition or the government. I think we have to work on our pronunciation. Sometimes I cannot really hear the pronunciation very well. So I wasn't able to get a lot of things from you earlier. By the way, it's X, not X, okay? Because sometimes the pronunciation. And then also, okay, we have here psychiatrists online, mobile apps. Okay, so they can go to a psychiatrist online because they're very well, they're tech savvy about technology, about gadgets. Okay, all right. So I think other generations like Gen X have less trust to people, finding it more difficult for them. That's very good. This is one of the arguments that I'm looking forward to. They find it very difficult to trust to people and confide in people because they have already, have many problems before wherein they trusted people, but then some people betray them. And I think we were not able to maybe provide that specific example, but still you brought that up, which is very good. So that is why they find it really stressed because at the end of the day, they don't have anyone to confide in. What if they're single moms? What if they don't have any husbands to tell their problems at the end of the day? They cannot express it. And what if they don't have, a lot of friends? So that's a very good argument. And then, okay, a lot of people spend too much on shopping spree because they're stressed at the end of the day and they cannot talk to anyone, which is very good, So I'd rather spend my money on foods, do stress eating. I'd rather spend my money on shopping and clothing because it will make me feel better because I'm stressed right now. This is one way for me to relieve stress. Okay, compared to younger people, because I think at the end of the day, I think one very good POI for the proposition or the government side would have been that, they cannot spend, with money too much for themselves because some of them, some Gen Zs do not have jobs. They're still, studying. So who would give them the money? Of course, it's their parents. And I think one of you were not able to really give a POI for that fact or, for that portion of what he said. But still very good. So I'm going to give the 10 points to the third speaker of the opposition team. Okay, so that's so far again for those who didn't get the points, but still very good on all your arguments. I really appreciate that. Congratulations still to all of you. Good job.
All right, thank you so much, Miss Farah, and I hope that you learned something from her comments. So everyone, of course, it's not yet the end, and we still have round 3. This is the last round, and let's start with Belle from the proposition team. Hello, Belle.
Hello, can you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. And now it's your turn to please summarize your arguments and conclude your team's points. So you have 3 minutes, timers ready, and you may begin.
Okay, I will complete the argument with team 4. First, you mentioned that other generation are not adapt technology because they are older from Gen Z, right? But I think that in the pandemic, other generation may study about how to use technology if they want. I mean that they can have, if my parents, they can ask me and I will give them advice on how to use it. Or if my older grandparents can ask my parents too, and it's completely can solve the problem if they can. I mean that they can spend a lot of time than Gen Z to study about technology, but that does not mean they cannot do. Is the first thing. The second thing is that you mentioned that the stressful between gap generation is not just for Gen Z but also parents. I think that but the parents can earn money and their child must depend on the parent. So children Gen Z cannot say no because they depend on their parents, right? So if the parents say that force them to do anything, they must obey to that. So they cannot have an opportunity to say no. Or even their parents make decision for their future. They must say yes, even this is wrong decision. And Gen Z must feel stressed about that because they don't want to do that. And they must do that for the rest of their life. So it's very stressful, right? And the third thing I want to say that of course, all the people must cope with the uncertain future. I know, but now Gen Z is from a really intense situation. They are now looking for a job, are entering a labor market. They are in the developing psychologically, so it's very hard for them, and it affects them for a whole life. While other generation they cope with uncertain future, they may have experience to cope with that, or even if they cannot cope with the situation, the serious consequence will be like not much as Gen Z. So that's all my argument. So on I will sum up my team point. The first is that Gen Z are suffering the adulthood while the certain look uncertain, while the future look uncertain. Second, is the gap generation make them feel stressed. And the final thing is that the social values affect to Gen Z. So that's all kind of my team point of view. And I really thank you that all the people listen to the last minute of my team. Thank you very much for your listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Belle, for actually summarizing and concluding your team's point and argument. All right, thank you, Belle. And let's hear it from the opposition team. Let's hear it from their leader, Nolan. Hello, Nolan.
Yes, hi.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay.
You're there. All right, so timer's ready. Please conclude your argument and you may begin.
Okay, so it's now my pleasure to summarize all the argumentations that outside have just come through. Okay, so first, we said that Gen Z is likely to replace other generations in the labor market. The number two argumentation, that is, when it comes to stress or mental health problems, Gen Z is more resilient than previous generations. Number three, Gen Z have better quality of life than Gen X or Gen Y. Which means their level of happiness exceeds people from Gen X or Gen Y. Number four, Gen Z comprises people born in the era of technological advances and high-tech devices. Previous generations had difficulty accessing modern technology, which creates a feeling of isolation. Number five, during the COVID-19 pandemic, Gen Z, with their sensitivity to the technology, more tools to entertain and communicate than previous generations. Number six, Gen Z is living in a peaceful time, not having to experience the cruelty of the wars, so they cannot have as many worries as previous generations. Number seven, Gen Z feel less stressed than their predecessors financially because they are becoming more price conscious with every financial decision they make. Number eight, I just want to make clear about the argumentation number 8, which is Gen Z also enjoys natural resources and environment has not been severely damaged. However, in the future, through the process of industrialization, generation Alpha and the next generations will have to bear the serious consequences from the environment. So it means that, however, it is the alpha gene and the generations that come after that are the ones who suffer the most severe sequences, and this in turn puts great pressure on the future generations to come up with solutions to overcome. And according to the Business Insider's compilation, by 2050, the number of people dying from air pollution would reach 6 million people. Half of the world's population would have no water to use, and oil would become luxury ingredient. Yes. So that's the end of my summarization of my team. Yeah, thank you for listening.
All right. Thank you so much, Nolan, for concluding and for summarizing your team's points and arguments. All right. So that's the end of the round, but let's hear it from Ms. Farah first for her final evaluation and for the scores.
All right. Okay. I guess I'm a little bit maybe confused about the giving of the points, if it's by speaker or by team, because I was able to give it actually by speaker depending on how well or substantiated or maybe coherent and solid their arguments were. during the times that they were like talking earlier, on the second round. But so far, it was actually very good for the first speaker on the government or the proposition team. So she was actually able to present, okay, like a new argument, which is actually about like they live up to their parents' expectation, Gen Zs. This is what I was really looking for at the very start of the debate. So most of the people who are studying nowadays, Gen Zs, they don't really have a choice at the end of the day but to follow their parents' will or their parents' choices or decision for them, because their parents are the ones sending them to school. They're the ones spending money and giving them the money they need as form of allowances for their food or whatnot. So therefore, they really do not have like a lot of maybe things that they can maybe do as their own decisions for themselves, because they still need to really follow and take the advice coming from their parents. And it's very good because I guess that would really make them very stressful or stressed about this situation, because for example, I think you were not able to maybe give like an effect to the parent side or to the Gen X or Gen Y. Maybe you can say that because they're already mature enough, they already have decisions for themselves. So whenever they don't like to do it, they will not do it. Whenever they like to do it, they will do it because they're already adults. But with the Gen Zs, especially for those who are underage yet, or those people who have not reached the legal age of 18, or even if they're 18, as long as they're studying, they would still need to follow their parents' advice or their parents' like maybe suggestion for them. And they cannot do anything about it, because even when they open up to their parents, sometimes their parents would force them to do or to follow maybe the major or the course that they need to study, because maybe it has been proven that maybe their father is like this or like that. We could have that example. So for example, maybe his or her father is an engineer and they want their son to follow his or her footsteps. So that's why they want their son to be an engineer too, even if their son doesn't really want to become an engineer or to study engineering. Something like that. And then very good, because there were also a lot of points presented by the first speaker on the opposition, by Nolan, about resiliency, better quality of life, technological advances, isolation. And then he also mentioned something about no water to use. And then also I think he was able to summarize it very well also with the first speaker, on the government side or the proposition side. However, I think he was not able to rebut the things that was mentioned by the first speaker about living up to your parents' expectation, being a Gen Z. And I think maybe we can say something like, for example, if you are a parent or if you are an aunt and uncle or a grandmother or a grandfather, so even if you do your own decisions, well, at the end of the day, you are still, you still don't have that happiness or that contentment in you, because you have a lot of problems to deal with, which are, of course, problems on maybe how you can bring money to your family, how you can support your family, how to be the breadwinner, how to bring home the bacon every day. And then, the increase of expenses, especially now that it's COVID-19 pandemic. I think we were not able to bring that up on maybe like counter arguing the living up of expectations, as what the previous speaker said earlier. So in this round here, I would be giving it to, I would be giving the 10 points to the person who was able to summarize it, and at the same time, not only summarize the things that, she and the other two speakers mentioned in her team, but also at the same time, the fact that she was able to present another counter argument or another argument, to the last round. So I'm going to give it to the government or the proposition team. So good job. But again, it doesn't mean that the second team or the opposition was not able to do really well, okay? Because they were really able to do a lot. And I think I have to change that one up earlier. I'm sorry. I think the scoring should be based on team, not based on, how should I say it?
Speaker.
Not based on speaker. Yeah, okay, got it. So, all right. And then, okay. Yeah, so at the second round, though I was like, I was able to get a lot of ideas from the first speaker. I mean, the second speaker of, on the second round, the second speaker of the proposition or the government side. But I think you lack a lot. So that's why the second speaker was also able to maybe like provided a lot. However, there was like one liner there at the end that was really confusing. But still, they really did a lot well on the second round compared to really solidifying their ground and giving more substantiation on the things that they have as evidences to support their claim. So I'm going to give the 10 points, of that round to the opposition. So that would make it around 20 points for the opposition and 10 points for the government, because the 10 points goes to the last round of, the team being able to, yeah.
Sorry, Miss Farah, I think
Uh-huh.
you said 20 points for the opposition, but I think it's the opposite. 20 for the proposition and 10 for the opposition, right?
Oh, no, it's for the opposition. 20 points for the opposition and then 10 points for the government or the proposition. Because I think earlier at the first round, hold on a second.
Your first round, it was the proposition who got the 10 points.
Did I?
Yes.
Oh, okay, hold on a little bit. Yeah, okay, I see. All right. I think, yeah. So that would be on the first round. I did give that, right? I thought it was the opposition. Okay. I did look into it. Okay. All right. 20 points for the government and 10 points for the opposition. Right. Okay. Here we go. I'm just going to double check it. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's
just
okay.
one
No
quick
problem.
moment. Yeah, I'm just going to double check where I gave the 10 points earlier on the first round. Hold on. Where is it? Second speaker for. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, got it. It was the first speaker on the government side. Yeah, I thought it was the first speaker on the opposition. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, helping me clarify that. All right, 20 points for the government because, again, 10 points for the proposition. Earlier in the first round, I was able to give it to the first speaker as well. She was both the first speaker and the person who summarized the points of her team. So good job. And then also okay, let's go to the second round. So I was able to give, I think I did mention that I gave like the 10 points to the second speaker, yeah. And then another 10 points to the third speaker of the opposition side. Yeah, but instead of doing that, I'm just going to do it on a general perspective as to,
by team.
Yeah, by team and by round. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. Yeah, it should be by round. I
Yes.
think next time maybe we should change the word team to round.
Okay.
So each round, yeah. So, okay, so 10 to, of course, let's have the opposition, yeah, because they have more solidifying arguments, substantiation, more counter arguments. And at the last round, because of the additional thing that she brought up, aside from summarizing the points of her team, who was the first speaker again? What's her name? I wasn't
Belle.
able to. Mel, yeah. So
Belle.
with that, Belle, okay. So Belle, so that's why I am going to give my 10 points for that round, the last round, the third round, for Belle and her team in the government or the proposition side, which makes it a total of 20 points for the proposition or the government side and 10 points for the opposition or the negative side. All right, congratulations. But again, as I always say, it doesn't mean that even if you get the least points, it doesn't mean that, you did worse, you did bad, you were not really good. You're still good, all of you, actually, because how can you make this very good arguments at the end of the day if you're not really that good and that smart or that intelligent, okay? It's just that we really have to choose one team who did say a lot and who did mention a lot and who did more substantiation and more solidifying arguments or counter arguments. So that's why we were able to give those points in each round to those people whom we think, or those teams whom we think who they really did better on those rounds. All right, thank you very much, and again, congratulations.
Thank you so much, Miss Farah. Please give a round of applause to our judge tonight. Okay, and of course, just to officially say it, the winner for tonight's debate, Team 3 versus Team 4, of course, it's Team 3, and that's the proposition team. So we have the first speaker, Belle, second speaker, Dane, and the third speaker, Anna. All right. So yeah, as what Miss Farah said, just because you did not get like 20 points or more points than the other doesn't mean that you are not good, okay? So we can do better next time. Don't worry. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for your, time, and congratulations still to both teams for doing your best. I know that you did your best tonight, and yes, our debate for tonight is of course about Gen Z suffering more stress from than the other generations. But actually, no matter in what generation you come from, stress is always there, right? So according to Hans Salai, it's not stress that kills us, it's our reaction to it. So I hope that we will just deal deal with the stress. Okay, so thank you so much, guys, and that's it for tonight. I hope that you just continue to join here with us in B2, and let's see, maybe we will have more debates coming in the future. All right, so thank you and have a good night, everyone.
Only hope my setting is fine.
Thank you so much. Have a good
Thank you,
night.
team. Congratulations.
Goodbye.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Bye
Thank you very
bye.
much.
Good night.
Bye.
Goodbye.